Welcome to the BCM podcast. I'm here by myself. It is the M podcast. I'm Michael Searle, here with two men who need no introduction. Wow. At the bottom there, he eats 24 eggs a day and 6 pounds of beef. Brad Swail.
Well, maybe, a day. That would be
gas to power a freight train.
I should try that one day. See how many I can do in one day.
And in the top left, our adventurer extraordinaire, volcano luging, Charles Blain.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah, I can only imagine the gas that's coming out of Brad can power a freight train with all those.
There is no gas because there's no plants. What are you? You have to try this before you start talking ish.
What, the 24 eggs a day with whey protein?
If you ate 24 eggs in one day, or however much, if you just ate eggs or just ate beef, I guarantee you won't notice a single fart.
I have a hard time believing 24 eggs is not going to leave you with a single
fart. I swear to God.
I'll try it. I have eggs in the fridge.
I'm gonna kibosh this. We're gonna dedicate a whole podcast to eating food.
Yeah, health and wellness.
Health and wellness. All right. So first order of business, listeners, please like the videos, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. This is what's going to help us grow, right?
Yeah.
All right. And then we have a lot to talk about today. So we're just going to jump right in. We've got the leaked audio, the Kari Lake leaked audio, the dispute between Abbott and Biden, cartels and human trafficking. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And then, at the end, we might talk about my prediction for our next president, Michelle Obama, waiting for her opportunity to run. Charlie Kirk's controversial comments about black pilots. And then Drew Springer sent a letter to Twitter yesterday.
Drew Springer.
Senator Drew Springer.
They were talking about Jerry. I'm like, wait a minute.
So let's just jump into the topics. We're going to get to the audio in a second, but for those of you who have not heard, a few days ago, an audio tape was leaked, presumably by Kari Lake's team, which has her and Arizona Republican Party chair Jeff DeWitt, and he's essentially bribing her to stay out of the Senate race. He says, among a number of things, some people back east don't want you to run. What did they have to do to get you to just stand down for a couple of years? So let's run a little bit of that tape for people who haven't listened, and then let's talk about it.
Sure, let's do it.
This is back east. There are very powerful people who want to keep you out.
I know they do.
But they're willing to put their money where their mouth is in a big way. So, this conversation never happened.
This is crazy, though. They should want me. I'm a great candidate. People love me. These people are corrupt.
Well, maybe you're right.
So what do they want? What do they want me to do?
You want to stay out for 2 years. Well, I'll tell you what I can offer you. The ask I got today from back east was, is there any companies out there or something that could just put her on the payroll and give her to keep her out? And I said, well, what are you willing to do? Whatever we need to do.
I'm not willing to accept that. Then I'm going to be the biggest pain in these people's ass. And go back and tell them that. I'm running, and I'm going to be the biggest pain in their ass.
I'm willing to tell them that.
And they're going to have to kill me to stop me.
Is there a number at which
I can be bought?
Not be bought.
That's what it's about.
You can take a pause for a couple of years.
No.
And then go right back to what you're doing.
No. 10 million, 20 million, 30, no. A billion, no. This is not about money. This is about our country.
I actually wish you'd just give me a counter offer this big. Give me a counter.
I can't be bought.
Do we believe her? Can she not be bought?
Well, yeah. So my question. So after this audio leaked, DeWitt resigned from his position as the chair of the Republican Party in Arizona, and he basically said, "I want her to stop attacking indicating that there may be more audio. But I was going to ask you, Brad, you have said in the past you're not a Kari Lake fan.
Sure.
So, other than Jeff DeWitt being the slimiest human being that exists on the planet, what was your take on this?
Well, I don't believe her. I think that she can be bought. I think most politicians can be bought. I don't think I think most people can be bought. If someone offered her $1 billion, like for real offered her $1 billion, she would probably say, okay, yeah, I'll hang out for 2 years. I don't give a shit. Give me that billion. What are you waiting for? Why are you even asking me? Just send it now. It's $1 billion, right? I think that she would probably do that. Now, I don't know. I guess we'll never know, right? Maybe her real price is $2 billion. But what if, what is her motivation in this? She's already recording the audio. I don't know why she's recording the audio. That seems kind of shady and weird, but maybe that happens a lot in politics. I'm not a politician. I don't know. They probably a lot of them do that. But she's already recording it, and she's got this juice. She's got this juicy, and he sounds juicy when he's talking about it. Hey, I got some guys back east. I got them. They can put you on the payroll. Right? And so she's recording this. She releases it. It boosts her profile. Maybe she knows the offer was only going to be like $5 million. And she's like, I already have $5 million. I don't need that shit. I'd rather run for Senate. So she releases it. And then she gets back in the national, spotlight. She boosts her profile as some very upstanding politician, better than the rest. Look at me. I'm exposing corruption. And she maybe increases her chances of winning when she runs again. I don't know if that's true, but I could see that as plausible.
I can too. I think so. I don't know. To answer your question about why she's recording, I think this guy, it's probably not the first time he's done something like this. Maybe not explicitly offered her money, but something questionable that would encourage one to record when they're around him. So I'm not surprised by that. And I'm also not surprised by her answer. I mean, it's very easy to be the principled one on a recording when you know you're recording. And then you're going to release that recording. And so you can set it up to make it, be as principled and determined and dedicated to the cause as you can be when the other person doesn't know what's going on. I don't know Kari Lake. Maybe that is genuinely who she is. But given the fact that she is a politician, it is very easy to kind of create this narrative there when you know that you're recording. I'm curious what the other recording is, what else that has been said. If he's willing to offer her money and positions and this and that and the other, I can only imagine to what lengths they have gone to try to get her out of that race. She sounds very much like Trump when she's like, the people love me, like only I can do this, like that. And people do genuinely like her. Like she's quite popular, I think, among conservatives. But I don't know. Can she be bought? Like, probably, if she wasn't recording that, like she probably could. But $1 billion is a lot of money.
If those guys back east want to put me on their payroll to, like, I don't know, stop doing this podcast, I'm in. Put me on the payroll.
Oh wow, really? That's all it's going to take to get you off.
So a couple of things before I lay into you fellas here. So her story is DeWitt calls her and is like, I got to come by and see you. She'd already kind of started having suspicions about him. He's like, I got to come by and see you. I can't put this in writing. Are you around? She's like, I'm working on my book. I got to leave for the airport in a little bit. No, you can't come by. He's like, no, I got you. I have to talk to you. So her story is he calls this weird frantic call. He can't put it in writing. He shows up at her door and then she records him because she knew it was suspicious. That's her story. That's her story. Now, I don't know if there's other audio. She seemed to indicate that there was, and so did he when he resigned. Now, how is Kari Lake the one that we're criticizing here?
I'm not. You're right. That's not what I did.
We know this stuff happens. Bob Menendez was found with gold bars in his closet. Yes. And we know that one of the ways that people are caused to conform to the establishment is they're bought off.
Sure.
And why can't we take her, why can't we give her the benefit of the doubt and say, this has probably happened to half the Senate, not necessarily stay out of the race, but like, we want you to vote this way or vote that way. And here's a You know, look at Nikki Haley. She got a nice little position with Boeing. Like, we know this stuff happened.
Mm.
And you two are on here giving Kari Lake shit.
Well, okay.
And she didn't turn it down.
Let me
she knew that she could use this for her political benefit. Of course. But the guy that we should be talking about is Jeff DeWitt and the who is behind him sending this message from back east, if we take it at face value that this is actually a real offer.
And let me clarify my position. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. Yes, my criticism was a little too strong on Kari Lake when it really should be geared towards the bad actors here. I agree with you. But I was just answering the question, and I don't even know if this was a question posed, whether or not I believed her. Oh, no, I was just kind of responding and riffing on what Brad said, whether or not he believed that she would take. I'm not blaming you, Brad. I'm just saying whether or not she would take the bribe. But you're right. No, I mean, she did nothing wrong in this instance at all. Whether or not she would take the bribe or not, I mean, she didn't do anything wrong. This man came to her. Presumably, she knew he was a shady character based on that call, probably based on other actions he's taken in the past. And so I don't blame her for recording. I would have done the same. And she didn't ask them to bring her an offer, like they brought her an offer. So yeah, she's not at fault. And my commentary certainly was I needed to retool that. I agree. She's not at fault. I still don't know that she wouldn't take the bribe if she wasn't recording, but she's not at fault by any means.
I mean, I don't. It's a politician and it's politics, and so first principles are always lying, right? Always assume they're lying. Everybody involved in everything, the person recording and the person that releases it, and the person that's being recorded, it's all a bunch of lies. Probably, maybe not all the time, but that's where I start. All right, so is Kari Lake being totally honest in the situation? Maybe, I don't know, but I'm gonna just assume that there's probably some nefarious things going on. It's not surprising, I don't think, that this happened. You know, you already said it, Michael. We already know that this shit happens. It's maybe exciting to like have it so in our faces where we can all see it and there's like proof that it happens. Of course, they're going to say, oh, this is a one-off thing. The guy resigned. You know, he was a lone wolf, a lone actor. And this stuff never happens. What are you talking about? And then we'll never hear another. People are going to be more careful. We're not going to hear another audio tape like this again for a long time. Maybe we will. I don't know. But I'm just operating from the perspective that they're both bad actors because they're both politicians.
Well, I can't say. I don't know. I mean, I can't say that she's necessarily a bad actor. I don't think her going into this and with the intention of releasing it makes her a bad actor. Like if somebody's going to do that to me and I'm that principled that she's claiming she is, I'm probably going to record it and put it out there too, because what she's seeing is as this, they're not, I wouldn't say the enemy, but the enemy for lack of a better word is trying to stop her and stop a movement and take over this country and stuff. And from the way that she frames herself, she is fighting for something that's greater than just this political office. She thinks she's fighting for the country. And so with great risk or reward comes great sacrifice, and something like this might be it. I don't know.
Are you trying to Spider-Man?
Is that who's
great responsibility with great power, great responsibility?
But that's not what I was going for. I was talking about like the risk is the country, and so it comes Spider-Man. Anyway, so then the part that got me most though, and we didn't hear it in this clip, it was in the whole clip, was when she was talking about how they want to use this money to control her. And he's like, no, we don't want to control you. They just want you to be on the team. And I'm like, okay, is it like the same thing? Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't understand. Like, the team has one coach, and what does he do? Control the players. So, like, that's exactly what you want. And it's just so interesting to me that they would go to such lengths to do that to her and try to claim they want her on the team. It's because like we see this in politics so much where it's like you have to pick a team and you cannot disagree on one minor issue with the team that you're allegedly assigned to, because then you're like disloyal or this or that, or it's so crazy that that we see that in every level, every single level, that you need to be with people 100% of the time on 100% of the issues, or else you're not a part of the team. I don't want to be a part of anybody's team. I'm not on anybody's team. I just do my own thing, and everybody should just do their own thing as well.
I'm on the team where people are not being bribed. So one comment and then a question, if I can remember it. There seems to be, at least on the MAGA side, a disruptive force. Trump's out there thrashing and like saying shit, and there's all these people that are following him, Kari Lake, Matt Gaetz, and it's disrupting the system a little bit. And the things that were like unspoken truths, you're paid off, you're going to sex parties, you're trading stocks on like insider information, all that stuff. You hang out with Jeffrey Epstein, all that stuff is kind of coming to the surface as a result of this disruptive force in the, on the MAGA side of the Republican Party. And I think this is just another example of a disruptor who's willing to share the dirty secrets of the establishment. So that's my thought on it. Like, of course, Kari Lake's using it to her benefit. She's going to raise a ton of money off of this thing, which is good for her Senate race. But so my question is, who are the people back east specifically, if you had to guess?
Like specific names?
Sure.
Well, I mean, it's got to be, back east. What's east of Arizona? A whole lot, right? A whole lot of states are east of Arizona. It's specifically, I don't know, the Republican establishment, Mitch McConnell, right?
Howard Johnson,
Mike Johnson.
Oh, Mike Johnson. Sorry,
Mike. Are they the same person?
I don't know whoever the speaker is. Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson.
Come
on. Mike Johnson, and he looks like a puppet, like a literal puppet. So maybe he's doing that.
Kevin McCarthy. I don't really know how much power he has to wield, but
Donald Trump.
No, I don't think Donald Trump. Do you think?
I don't know what's going on in that guy's head. Maybe there's
her.
I don't actually think that it's Donald Trump, but I could see someone like Mitch McConnell, and he's got a lot of ties in the business world. He's been around the block a few times, making $100,000 a year or whatever it is, but somehow worth many millions. He knows some business people, right?
Right.
He's probably got some business people in his ear saying, "Get that Kari Lake bitch out of here."
Well,
right?
He's got the slim, or he doesn't have a majority now in the Senate, so he has that at stake. She's running for Senate. 2, he has a history of putting people on the payroll, his wife of large companies to make lots of money, and the accusation out from the MAGA world is it's McConnell and Daines, and Daines does the.
Who is Daines?
Steve Daines is a senator from Montana. He leads the Senate Republican PAC, and that's what I've seen people are indicating it was those two.
So why would this maybe relates to my question from last week when we were talking about why Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley would stay in the race just to waste Donald Trump's money if they're all on the same team, quote unquote. In this case, this is, it's a Republican running for Senate and you don't have the majority. Why would you stop this person from running?
The Senate is, other than Rand Paul and Mike Lee, the Senate is pretty, on the Republican side, the Senate is pretty unified, establishmentarian, if you will. So she's just another fracturing of that, consensus. And even Rand Paul and Mike Lee play ball quite a bit to get things done in the Senate.
And not to mention having her run right now and be a national figure and saying all the things that she says, they might view it as hurting some candidates who are in close races, because anything that she says, similarly to Donald Trump and other figures who are kind of like figureheads in the movement, get attributed to candidates up and down the ballot. And so I think a lot of them may be looking at close races and are saying that by having someone like her out there saying things that she says, it might be a problem.
Well, when is she running?
When?
Yeah, didn't she just lose like 2 years ago? And
governor. For governor, she lost. She's running for Senate this year against.
She's running for governor.
Or in replace of Kirsten Sinema's seat, correct?
I don't know which seat.
The hottest ever.
Oh, so I remember my other question before we move on to the next topic. Should this guy go to jail
for trying to bribe somebody?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. Should he? I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, if you go by the letter of the law, probably. But I don't know. Yes, he should. I guess there should be an example set for this, but it's just gonna be a sacrificial lamb. They're not gonna stop doing this. It's not gonna teach anybody a lesson.
It won't. But do I think he should be held accountable? Sure. Because now that when you really think about it, I mean, he's interfering with the electoral process. He's trying to remove an option of New Mexican voters Do they call themselves New Mexican? Yeah, I guess
Arizona.
Right. Arizonian, whatever. Arizona voters. And so, yeah, I mean, am I going to be the one to bring charges against him? No. But if I was on the jury, would I probably vote? Yeah, probably.
Well, charges also imply there's going to be some sort of investigation into what happened here. And I would assume if what he's saying is true, because that's also a plausible scenario. He could be making this thing up. He could be like, I'm going to go to Kari Lake and tell her I have a bribe and then go back east when she's like, gives me her number and then I'll get a payday. That's a scenario that's possible. But if he's charged, then there would be some investigation to kind of get to the bottom of what's actually happening. I understand, Brad, nothing would come of it, but I would say something's better than nothing at this point.
I don't know. Maybe if nothing happens, it keeps really spotlighting for the populace that there's really two classes of people here, and you're not in the upper class. And
It's
maybe
a
that's
big
good
club.
to see. Yeah, it's a big club, and you ain't in it.
You ain't in it. The same club they use to hit you over the head all day when they tell you what to think.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I mean, yeah, I could see. Yeah, okay, sure. Something should happen, but there's an advantage to not happening. I don't know. People need to wake up and realize exactly what we just said. Is this too much shade? It is too much shade. Quit throwing shade, Charles. Are we going to the next topic?
Yes, we are. All right. Second topic. I was trying to remember what it was. So Abbott v. Biden. That's our second topic. So everybody's been following this drama. I'll try to summarize it here. So the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court 5-4, rules that the federal government could come in and cut down some razor wire that the Texas government had put up to stop illegal immigrants from crossing the Texas-Mexico border. After the ruling, Abbott pens this super strongly worded letter, which when I was reading it, I was like, this is the kind of stuff you look back 100 years from now and like, that was the start of something crazy. But this really strongly worded letter basically saying Biden's abdicated his responsibility under the Constitution to, protect the border and prevent an invasion of Texas, and cites, Articles 4 and 10 of the Constitution. And then since then, and so he's basically taking over the securing the border. And then since then, the other 25 Republican governors in the country have said they support Governor Abbott. So is this the start, or should I say the next step towards civil war, or is it a nothing burger?
It's interesting. I just remembered Abbott is issuing these statements from India. I don't know. I think it's an escalation in the fight back and forth over the border, but I do think it's going to amount to not much. I'm not. So I mean, it's a Republican southern state dueling with the Democratic-led federal government. So I'm not. Gonna be, if it was like a Republican state versus like a Republican president or something, maybe. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to amount to much. I mean, I feel like we're going to get some clashes on the border now with determining kind of like how much Texas is going to push and what the federal government wants. And I know now some of the federal legislators want to take control over the state's National Guard and like all these other things. But then also I heard that Trump came out yesterday telling people don't do anything until like this election's over. And so I think there's so many dueling narratives about the border and about what's actually going to happen. I just don't see much coming of it. And then, it's also funny though, because you've got these people, Mike Johnson and others, who go down there with their vests and they go take the walk and they get on the pontoon boat and they do the whole thing. But then they go back and they don't do much other than really statements. And so, it's one thing to call it the president, which you should, but it's also all of the federal legislators who just talk about this issue and use it for campaign contributions rather than actually addressing it. So I think it's all of DC's fault, and I just don't see anything happening other than kind of rhetoric escalation.
Let me show you guys what's fucking annoying about this. So here's Tucker Carlson. We all respect Tucker Carlson to one degree or another. And in case you're listening to this, I'll read it for you. It's a Tucker Carlson tweet. I don't have a good Tucker Carlson impression. Maybe Michael does. He says, so it's unanimous. Everyone in power, from the White House to the hedge fund managers to the Supreme Court of the United States, has decided to destroy the country by allowing it to be invaded. That leaves the population to defend itself. Where are the men of Texas? Why aren't they protecting their states and the nation? Well, great fucking question, Tucker Carlson. Where the fuck are you?
Well,
Why aren't you down here on the border protecting the nation? You fucking piece of shit. And after this whole thing happened, I was listening to the radio the next morning, a bunch of yahoos calling in saying, woohoo, Greg Abbott, he's the best. Oh yeah, we're gonna fight the federal government if they come down here. Woo! Fucking why? Why do people like, all right, go fight then. Go do it. Go be the first one to shoot the fucking gun. Why are people so excited? Like, why are they encouraging this shit? Right? Yeah, I want Greg Abbott to stand up for it too and just say, sorry, we're not gonna abide by this. We're gonna do it. But all this call for like it's gonna be a civil war, like those are people dying. Those are people like your fellow countrymen dying. And it's not gonna be pretty, it's not gonna be fun, it's gonna fuck everything up. Like you want to pretend like you're this, you know, like you're Tucker Carlson, and you're gonna encourage men to go die while you sit up in your fucking Nantucket cabin, sitting, you know, sidling up to this fucking crazy table on your new podcast, sitting really fucking close like this when you're talking to people, and, you know, having fun conversations, getting paid millions and millions of dollars, and people worshiping you and hoping that you're going to be the VP pick, and so that you can say, hey, go fucking shoot people, go have a war. It's fucking nuts.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. You know, and I was going to say that. I'm like, it's easy to tweet that while you're sitting in Old Greenwich, Connecticut, and telling everybody who you go and cosplay being one of, that they should go and kill people on the border and they should go fight. But yet you're all it amounts to you is a tweet. All it for you, it's another video where you're going to get shares and retweets, and then you're stipend from X because you got all these shares and retweets. Whereas you're actually telling people, some of whom are like wild enough to do so, to go pick up arms and go to the southern border and fight. And, you know, if that's the case, if you genuinely believe it, then go lead the charge. Like, come on, like go lead the charge. Please do. Take off the vest.
Yeah, take off your vest, put down your fucking fishing pole, get in your private jet, fly down here with all your fucking guns that we know that you have, and start shooting, bitch.
And the crazy part is, because of how he is and who he is and the following he has built, if he showed up there, he could get thousands of people to show up there right with him. So why don't you go lead the charge and show us how it's done?
Come on.
Where are the men of Texas? Like, where are the men of Texas? Where are the men of Texas not going to start a civil war? Like, what do you mean? Like, that is such a crazy thing in my mind.
Podcasts, Tucker Carlson.
Like, it's just, it's such a crazy thing. Like, I get it because yes, there are issues at the border, but to sit there and say, go pick up arms and fight, as if like if I went and got my gun right now and went down to the southern border, I'd probably get shot by DPS before I even, you know, before like anything. So you're telling me to go down there? Like, it's just crazy. It is crazy. And this is the problem with some of the rhetoric today. People are all too willing to say anything when don't even care about the repercussions and don't care about the actual fallout of what they say. And it's all for retweets and shares and subscribes and all that. You know, if he genuinely believed that, he should go down there and he should take up arms and lead the charge.
Wow. You guys are fired up. Most people that I listen to, not to skate the Tucker Carlson criticism, because you know I'm a Tucker Carlson fan, I agree with everything you guys just said. He's not going to do that. But most people that I listen to that talk about civil war more say it's inevitable. Not that they want it, but the trajectory of the country and the inability for the sides to come together and the states to come together toward a common goal is just leading us down in a path towards what ends at civil war. And we all see the rhetoric post-Trump has gotten very elevated, and it's not cooling down. Like, we literally hate people. I don't. But a lot of people on the right in particular view people on the left as the enemy, and they hate them. Mm-hmm. And that it could be a long road to civil war, and this could be a step towards that. But I get that argument. We have set ourselves on a path that only leads to one end. I don't think we should go to the border. There is a fucking crisis at the border. It's bad. A border is not an issue that I have historically been super fired up about, but it's like impossible to ignore now.
Yeah.
And but I'm not going to pick up arms and go, who am I going to go fight with? I'm not
Right. Like,
I'm not
shoot
gonna,
the
I'm gonna be
immigrants?
fighting with
Like,
immigrants. I'm going to be, that would be, I'm not,
Right.
that's not a civil war. That's me fighting with immigrants. And I'm not interested in doing that. But something has to be done to correct the path. And I don't know that there's nothing in my mind that could be done at this point to do so. So the people who are saying civil war is coming, I'm like, that's where this naturally leads.
I don't disagree that we're headed down that path. I say it's inevitable. I don't know, but I don't disagree that with how divided things are and continue to get, that we're heading towards some sort of conflict like that. Especially when people keep putting out that heated rhetoric, and when people hate each other simply for disagreeing with them on politics, which is so stupid. But it doesn't even seem like that's what he's calling for, right? Like, he's calling for you to go to the border and shoot the immigrants that are coming across the border. Like, that's what
I think he's talking about shooting feds. I think he's talking about standing up against the federal government and not allowing them to stop the state of Texas.
I mean, both of those are probably like equally as crazy. Like,
fighting the federal government is a step wilder, a step higher in wildness than fighting immigrants. Immigrants will probably just turn around unless there's cartel with them, in which case the cartel may fire back, but probably not, because then the federal government might have to step in and fight the cartel. But, you know, the immigrants are going to say, oh, shit, we got a bunch of crazy Americans shooting guns at us. We don't need to swim today. It's fine. We're good. We don't need to cross that bridge. But fighting the federal government, like, that's fucked. And I get it. I'm 100%. I understand the logic. I understand even the desire that some people have to just get it over with and have that civil war. I get it. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I can understand, and I can have that thought in my mind and understand the logic and emotion behind it.
So, right? Like, but what is the purpose? We're fighting a civil war because the federal government won't stop border crossings. That's what the civil war would be fought over.
I mean, that would.
I mean, yeah, there are other things, obviously, but I'm like, in this context, it seems like that's what they're saying, is that because the federal government is refusing to do their job, we should then fight them. Like, that seems to be what they're saying.
The border crisis goes much further than just people crossing the border. There is a ton of cartel activity. There's, massive amounts of drugs and human trafficking.
No, I hear you. What I'm saying is that what's stemming from that is the federal government not doing their job of securing the border. And so essentially what they're saying is we should fight a civil war over the federal government not doing their job of securing the border.
Well, securing yes, but it's the way that you're phrasing it, I think maybe oversimplifies the issue, because it's not just like people are mad because people are coming across the border. Yes, that is true, but they're mad because they're the consequences of that, right? From the fentanyl to the loss of culture to the loss of feeling of you have an actual country, like all sorts of things.
Sure. Yes.
Right, and it's not just like, oh, you let somebody cross the border, fuck you, right? You let 10 million cross the border in 3 years. Like, we have a right to secure our country. You're using our resources that we're forced to pay you at the threat of violence, at the end of a gun. We have to pay you this shit. And then you turn around and you don't help us, but you help these people. That pisses people off, right?
Yes.
But
it pisses me off, but I'm not going to say, hey, Michael Searle, why the fuck? You're a fucking Texan. You're a man. Why aren't you down at the border shooting fucking feds, bitch?
I don't have a death wish, and I got a family to worry about. But the bigger, I mean, I would say the reason to fight a civil war goes actually back to our first segment. Our elected officials are being bought off to do things that are in the negative, or not in the best interest. They're actually detrimental to us and our country. That's the reason you fight a civil war, not because there's a border issue, but because the whole thing has been corrupted. And we just got evidence of that with the Kari Lake audio.
Right. And so what I'm saying is like, when we're talking about the civil war at the border, if we found out that the federal legislators who are stopping legislation that would stop border crossings were funded by the cartel or by Mexico or something, like, that's okay. I would see like a cause for civil war in that instance. Like, okay, you're funded by a foreign but foreign entity, and you're allowing this issue to happen here because of that. I mean, I don't know. I just think my frustration is all the people talking about fighting civil wars do so on Twitter, on their podcasts, on TV, whatever. None of them are the ones who are taking up arms. Like, instead of tweeting about it, just go do it. Like, if that's the case, go down there and do it. And that applies to people in Texas here too, all saying the same thing. Go down there and do it. Go.
But they're not bought by the cartels. They're bought they're bought by the Kochs. And they've been bought for the last three or four decades. And they haven't been doing anything on the border for 40 years because American business, which has been a big lobby, wants cheap labor. That's the reality. And they got their hooks in. Sorry for calling out the Kochs. The Kochs do a lot of good work on criminal justice reform and war and all that stuff. But the reality is, like, they've got on this border thing, they've got their hooks in both parties. And both parties just fight over it and don't fucking do anything because it serves the elite interest to have cheap labor, and it reduces the wages of American workers. And now they're all pissed off about the border, talking about civil war. So is it the Mexicans and the cartels who are at fault here, or is it our ruling class?
It's our ruling class. I was just saying, though, that if that were to have come out, I would be like, okay, I understand why you want to fight a civil war because they're being funded by Mexico. But no, it's the ruling class. I get it. I'm on the same page with you.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the cartels are funding some of our politicians. That sounds pretty logical and likely. And let me be very clear. I think that there are certainly times for civil war. I don't think the time is now. I hope that time never comes. I don't want that to happen. It's not something I desire. I look forward to, but there are times when war is necessary for sure. Absolutely. I just don't. And if it happens, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I don't know what the circumstances are. I don't know what I'm going to do. Am I just going to automatically, hop in my fucking Hyundai Santa Fe and drive down to the border with my 6.5 Creedmoor and start shooting people?
What Tucker wants you to do.
Tucker wants me to do that. Unfortunately for Tucker, I have 3 children, right? And I definitely don't want them to get mixed up in all this shit, right? If I leave and then, I get painted as, on the side of the rebels, right? Are they going to come after my family? Are they going to come after my kids? My kids didn't ask for that, right? What is the what is the goal, or what is the goal of this civil war, Tucker Carlson, that you want men of Texas to go fight and, die for? Is it for Texas to secede and be by itself? Is it for, the balkanization of the United States is into many other, 3 different countries? Who knows? What the fuck do you want, Tucker Carlson?
He doesn't know. He just wants retweets and shares.
Anyhow, that's how I feel about it.
Whoa, we're even more fired up than usual. But let's move on to and we'll do this one brief. We'll do this one briefly. So yesterday, Brad did a recording with Jason Jones, who is a former general in Texas Department of Public Safety's Counterterrorism Intelligence Unit. He's like a border cartels expert. And they discussed and I don't want to give away too much, Brad, because we want everybody to go to Lone Star Standard and we want them to subscribe to the Texas Talks podcast and all that stuff.
Who hosts the Texas Talks podcast? I forget.
I have no idea.
A beaver? You?
So so we don't want to give away too much, but I thought, what he had to say is super interesting, especially given this conversation we're having about the border, about the cartels and human trafficking and how they're facilitating it and tracking it all once people are in the United States and where everybody is. So if you just want to give like a brief, recap without giving away too much of what you guys talked about, that'd be cool.
It would be cool, wouldn't it? I mean, the situation is fucked for a lot of reasons, but most of it, based on what Jason Jones told me, is that our elected officials don't have any fucking clue what actually happened down at the border. I mean, they know the big picture of a bunch of fentanyls coming across and people are dying, but they don't really know. There was something like, I think he said something like when he was part of the DPS, there were, like 10, 12-hour gunfights across the border between Americans and cartels or something like that. And it just never hits the news. No one fucking knows about it. It's fucking nuts. And the cartels are in so many different countries, 48, 50 different countries. They're a parallel government down in Mexico and other South American countries, Central American countries. They don't have any care in the world for lives, American lives or otherwise. There's plenty of other lives out there for them to sell drugs to and traffic and smuggle. And it's a really crazy bad situation, and no one seems to know about it.
Yeah.
No one in power seems to know about it.
Yeah, we like to think of the cartels as like gangs almost, right? Like,
right.
And they're not.
They're not.
They're like big business.
Huge business.
And they're in the bit, they're global, they're transnational, and they sell drugs and they sell people or acts, getting across borders, but they also sell avocados and it's a business. And I've talked with Jason before, and I just he's talking about they're sending people across the border with ankle bracelets on, and they're tracking them once they're here, and they're in all 50 states, and it's
and they're it's an like indentured servitude kind of like they have to pay back all of this stuff, and they're working to just pay that debt back before they get to do anything else, if anything else ever actually comes. And of course, there's also the human trafficking, the sex trafficking, stuff like that. That's not really indentured servitude, though. Maybe some cases that there's a mix of the two. But people, it's modern day slavery, and let's let 10 million of them in 3 years. No big deal. And let's get a bunch of money down there so that we can just process it faster. It's fun.
Yeah. So there's got to be and the point we're just talking about, going down to the border with the guns, we also have to understand there's humanity on the other side of this border thing where there's people crossing. And like you just said, these people are like modern day slaves to cartel organizations.
Many of them are, for sure.
And Tucker Carlson's talking about going down there and taking up arms against these people who are just in a really desperate situation. So we got to kind of, I sound like a liberal, but we got to understand, we got to recognize the humanity of the people coming across the border too. They shouldn't be coming across the border, but they are humans.
Why are you such a pussy, Michael? I'm joking.
We're gonna box on this show, and I got serious reach, bro.
That should be the next episode. That's both of what you said is very interesting. I mean, I think people do have this kind of misconception or misperception about the cartel and what it is, and just kind of how wide-reaching their tentacles are, and don't recognize it. It's interesting, and I will be sure to check out that interview.
Please do. Texas Talks podcast, hosted by Brad Swail.
Oh, that's who hosts it?
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's pretty cool. Excuse me?
What's our next topic, Michael?
Okay. My favorite topic. We will move on to
both.
Huh?
I said I'll box you both. Charles, I don't care if your mom does listen to this podcast. I do want to say thank you for listening to this podcast, Miss Blain. You're our favorite fan.
Indeed.
And it'll be if she'll watch us box, okay? And may the best man win.
Wow, and that's who's gonna host.
The person that loses should have to host. Although he does. Okay, next topic. So the New York Post and some other outlets last week or early this week, maybe it was Monday, they reported insider sources, but that Michelle Obama and Barack Obama put out a email or letter.
First one?
Michelle
Obama.
I've not heard of that person. Who's that?
It's Barack Obama's lovely wife, Michelle Obama. But
he has okay. That's surprising. Okay,
I'm not going to take the bait. And they put out a feeler in the form of a letter or an email or phone calls to large Democrat donors about their excitement about a potential Michelle Obama run for president.
This is an insider said that they sent out a feeler.
Yeah,
but there's no evidence of the feeler. There's no picture. There's no email.
Nope.
Would you forward an email you got from the president?
If it's a bullshit, I'm looking at a fucking email from the president Trump right now. It's about how much he loves me and needs my money. I'd be happy to forward. I don't care.
I mean, listen, I believe it. Why would they not put out feelers, even if they have no intention of doing it, just to see? Obviously, and there, this comes on the heels of that interview she did with Jay Shetty. Was it with Jay Shetty? I don't know. I sent it to you guys. It was an interview she did about 2 or 3 weeks ago where she talked about how afraid she was for the country and how she is afraid of this next election and who might win. And so it wouldn't surprise me. She's wildly popular among the base. She's decently popular, like more popular than your average politician among the general public. Joe Biden's obviously not very popular. She doesn't have nearly as much baggage as some of the Democratic candidates out there. She hasn't really opined very much on issues publicly in the past few years. So it's not like you can peg her as this like super progressive or anything like that. I mean, you can based on her perspective that we know, but she hasn't opined on all these issues of the day that have popped up. So, I mean, why not? Why wouldn't I? If I were her, I'd put the feeler out there too and see what people are saying.
You sure she can't? You sure you can't peg her?
That's the former first lady.
So I mean, look, it's the same thing with the aliens in the mall, right? There's no, people ran away. There's 100% chance that some percentage of them pulled out their phone when they felt they were safe and took a fucking video of the supposed aliens, right? We didn't see that. Maybe it exists, and you know, the CIA or FBI has an internet task force that, you know, deleted all those pictures before they could get out. Plausible, maybe, I don't know. But you got Michelle Obama. This would be top of the news. You would get, I mean, imagine the amount of attention you would get if you got this email or whatever it is. Hey, Michelle Obama's thinking about running. What do you think about that? This is the most contentious election of our lifetime. It's the most important election ever, guys. Haven't you heard? Right? So the fact that, okay, there's an insider that's saying this is going around, yeah, I think it's plausible, sure, but I don't know that I believe it until I actually see it. And I think that what might be more likely is that this is the feeler, that this news, this I don't know, insider information, this is the feeler. Nothing was sent out. So they're putting this news out there. Hey, there was something that got sent out. They're just trying to test the waters. And that's actually how they test the waters, to see how the public responds, see how the donors, now the Obamas are getting a bunch of phone calls. God, I loved your fucking movies. They kind of suck. No one else really liked them. You guys got to get out of that. I liked them. I love you guys. You guys are great. Your movies are fantastic. Other people didn't like them, but you should get back into politics. I think it's a great idea. Is this true? Right?
You know, everybody else is playing checkers. Sounds like you're playing 3D chess.
Always.
Well, under both of those scenarios that have been described, whether this letter or this communication is real, and the people they sent it to were very trusted confidants that weren't going to really, you know, oh, I got this letter, you know, to the news, or your scenario in the chess game that they leaked this fake story in order to generate interest more broadly, see how people reacted. Under both those scenarios, she's thinking about running.
I mean, yeah. DNC could have done that. She could have leaked it. It doesn't have to come from the Obamas, but fine. I mean, they could be trying to recruit her. At the end of the day, it seems like it's becoming more and more likely that she might run. I still don't believe that she would win, but she is definitely getting out there. She's in the, here's your favorite word again. She's in the zeitgeist more and more. You know, doing all these podcast interviews, going, you know, people are fucking talking to her. She's on the cover of magazines, you know, not just Men's Fitness. She's on the cover of other magazines. And, and so maybe, I don't know.
I think this is not the last we're going to hear of this.
I don't think so either. And ever since Michael brought this up, we've been hearing more and more of it. And for her to even indicate, even remote, she's a skilled politician. For her to go on that podcast and insinuate that she is fearful of the outcome of the next election, given the two candidates, she knew what people were going to say from that comment. She knew what people were going to say from that comment. And if she sent this around, or someone else sent it, presumably they sent this to like 5 people. And so like their assumption would be that this doesn't get out, because these are like probably like 5 of their best donors talk to on a regular basis. And so that's probably why we haven't seen anything, but maybe heard something. But listen, I would, if she got in that race, I'd be fearful.
I don't know. So a couple things. One, if you send it to 5 donors, you're not actually getting people, like you're not taking anybody's temperature, right? You're sending 5 top donors. Of course, they're going to say yes. They fucking love you, right? It's got to be a wider net.
I can't imagine that they would throw it to a wide net like that and risk it getting out.
Well, I'm not saying it has to be the widest net. They're going to send it to their, their actual, donor list, like everybody that's ever given them money. That would be nuts. I agree with that, but it's got to be more than 5. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the number is. Maybe it is just 5. It just seems like you're not actually getting really any real information when you just send it to 5 people.
Well, I feel like you're sending it to those donors who are so wealthy that they don't like. They're not going to blow smoke up your ass. Like these are the donors who are just like, yeah, do it or don't do it. Like I'm going to give you money if I support you, but also like if you're not a good candidate, I'm not. So I feel like these are those donors, not the donors who just say the things that you want to hear all the time. Well, I mean, I have no idea who I don't even know if they sent this letter out. I don't know why I'm speculating.
We'll never know because it didn't happen. 1, 2. Is she a skilled politician? Because I don't know that is she? I think that's worth. Stop it. She went on that podcast, right? And she knows what people are going to say when she says stuff like that, right? But is she not? You don't think she's being coached? You don't think that there's people like on the sidelines saying, "Hey, you're going to do this podcast. We think it'd be really good for you, and here's how you can play it and say it." And she says, "Okay."
Yeah, I do.
This is not disparaging against her or Barack. It's not left versus right. All this other bullshit. I think that this is how most politicians get, handled.
First, she went on that show for a purpose. She didn't just, someone called her and was like, we really want to talk to you. And she's like, oh yeah, let me go out of my day of traveling the world and sitting on beaches to like talk to you for no reason.
Right.
First. Second, I can't remember myself. Oh, the second issue is I just don't, the reason I'm so on the Michelle Obama train is that I just don't see how Biden can run.
Sure.
First of all, can he run? Secondly, how could he be president for 4 more years? Have you seen the last 2 audio from him in the last couple of days? It's crazy. He can't run. So even if she's like, okay, I'm thinking about it, but only under the scenario that Biden bows out, let's put some feelers out and like, would people be down with that, excited about it? Not that they're going to execute Biden, but like if for some reason Biden, ages 1 more day and can't run for president anymore, which it looks like he can't, she's ready to go.
Yeah.
If she wants to.
I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to say. I'm not the one who doesn't believe that she's going to run. I believe she's going to run, or at the very least, very seriously considering it. You're the outlier here. You don't think she's considered.
No, I think that she certainly considers it. I mean, I've considered it. That doesn't mean I'm going to do it, right? I mean,
you're also not Michelle Obama.
Sure. I agree. Like I can consider it all day long and I can dream about it, whatever. My son asked me the other day, maybe should he be president one day? He's considering it, guys.
But I mean, Michael makes a good point. She's going out there for what reason? She's been quiet, relatively quiet for the past 4 years. She did her book tour, but outside of that, she hasn't really been saying much. She's now engaging on a platform where younger people are more paying attention. She's not going on traditional media. I feel like she's doing things to still put in this. I think this is all testing it. And I feel like she just wants to get a general idea. And I think she's getting the feedback that she expected to hear. And I wouldn't be surprised if she pulls the trigger. We'll see. I don't know.
I think you guys are right.
No, you don't.
I do think that's what she is doing. I said that at the beginning of this conversation. But I think that it seems more and more likely that she is thinking about it, and that's why she's going out there and getting her. She's on the cover of magazines. I even said the word zeitgeist.
You did say that.
Right? Now, see that word. You guys love it so much. I say it and you remember what I said. So I mean, I agree. I don't know that I think that she would. I don't think that she would win just because she is Michelle Obama. I think that she still has to prove herself. I don't know when she gets in. I've heard people speculate. You shake your head like you fucking know.
Look at our president. She's like a 10x from him.
Sure. I'm not fine. I don't care. I'm not. That doesn't mean that she's going to get out there and I mean, she is Michelle Obama. I'm sure she could she literally could kill someone on Fifth Avenue and be fine, like still get elected. I don't know that Trump could do that anymore, but I still think that she has to prove herself to some extent, right? It's not like Trump's base and the Republican Party are zero people and aren't totally fanatical for Trump and fanatical in their hatred nowadays for Democrats. It's not, I don't know. I mean,
Well, I don't think he's gonna have like a ton of crossover appeal, but like independence and just like getting young people who are like, I think she would have the same Obama effect from Obama 08, getting these younger people who aren't engaged in the process, fired up, ready to come out. That neither Biden or Trump are gonna do.
Sorry, it's not about the base. It's about the middle and the people who don't vote. She gains 30 points over Biden on the middle.
Okay. But just because of her name or because of her positions? Do positions matter?
Because all of those things.
I'm being naive.
Well, you're being a little naive to think that like this isn't already war gamed out and there's already a decision made about who's going to be president. But she gains 30 points because all of the problems people are facing right now are Biden's fault, not hers. And they're like, these people in the middle are like, oh God, it sucks under Biden. The inflation and all this stuff, it all sucks. So I'm going to bite my tongue and I'm going to vote for Trump. And I'm not going to tell anybody, but that's what I'm going to do. And that's why he's polling higher with young people and in the middle and, Black and Latino and like.
But if he's polling higher and they're telling people.
If it's Michelle Obama, all those problems are not her fault. And all those people will go right back to voting for Michelle.
Agreed.
In addition to turning out tons of young people. Shall we do one more?
Okay.
What are you guys feeling? You feeling talking about Charlie Kirk again or Drew Springer?
London. I see you pick. You're the host.
Yeah, you are, Michael.
I am the host. I feel like we did it. Well, let's talk about Drew Springer.
Okay.
You guys. As I said, you guys know way more than me about.
Okay, so Senate voted to acquit Ken Paxton of impeachment. We all followed that story pretty closely. It was not even a close vote. Drew Springer is the senator from Senate District 30. He voted to acquit. Well, yesterday he puts this tweet out with a letter that says, and I might get the legal stuff wrong, but Ken Paxton in the trial against, or in the lawsuit against the whistleblowers, basically said no contest of the facts that they're presenting. Let's settle with them. I'm not contesting the facts. Let's just pay them off $3.3 million and the lawsuit goes away. And Drew Springer sends a letter and says, well, if you're saying no contest of the facts, you're essentially admitting guilt to what they were accusing you of. And you've made a mockery of the Texas Senate, and I want to find a way to bring the impeachment trial back.
They want to impeach him again?
Drew Springer, who is on the outs, he's not running for re-election, voted to acquit and is now saying because Ken Paxton is asking the state of Texas and taxpayers to pay $3.3 million to the whistleblowers, and as part of that settlement is not going to contest the facts that they are alleging the conduct he engaged in as part of that settlement, that Drew Springer is saying, well, you're just admitting guilt and you lied to us. And I'm not going to vote for any settlement until you go under oath and sell your side of the case. And if you don't, I want to reopen the impeachment trial.
Which is a bold letter, except if you're not coming back. I think that's the thing. Like, I feel like it's, but I mean, also, he said he wasn't going to run again. And then this letter came, the settlement came out. So it's like the timing isn't really, I think he's taking advantage of the timing. I don't think he kind of gamed it that way, talking about Springer. But it's a bold letter when there's not much to lose. But I thought the line that the whole thing was interesting. I thought one of the lines I found most interesting was, Further, in this effort to end the whistleblower lawsuit, AG Paxton has essentially written a blank check at the taxpayer's expense in an attempt to stop the case and prevent his deposition. And so that's been an argument that people have been making, is that the goal was to kind of just get out of doing that. I don't know. I mean, I think it's interesting. I think if you have a settlement, like, is it an indirect admission of guilt? Like, I'm not settling something if I think that the accusations against me are wrong. Like, I'm going to fight it. Like, I can understand why some people like to settle things and just put it behind them and move on and be like, I just want to get out of this. But like, if somebody's making, really problematic accusations against me, and I'm a figure where, I'm well known, yeah, I'm not going to like just be like, all right, I'm just going to settle to get this to go away unless I actually, had something to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's common. Like, I'm not a lawyer, so I would assume that not contesting the facts is probably pretty common in a settlement in a lawsuit such as this. You're just like, okay, let's just move on. Let's not fight about the facts. I'm just going to say, I'm not going to contest them. I think something happened between trial and today beyond just the settlement. I mean, certainly Drew Springer knew a settlement was going to come to the Senate and they were going to ask to pay for the settlement, the state of Texas. Certainly he knew that. Certainly he knew Ken Paxton did not want to testify under oath. He knew that. He didn't want to do it in the trial. They granted him that as part of the Senate trial. So this doesn't sound like new information. It seems to me, and maybe this is part of why Drew Springer decided not to run, is that after the trial or during the trial or before the trial, I don't know, at some point, Drew Springer learned something about it that made him want to, speak out against Ken Paxton. And this is an opportunity to do it.
But if that's the case too, and I think that makes sense, then you just got to come out and say it. Like, just come out and say what it is that you discovered or what it is that you found out. Because the complaint from a lot of people has been that the process wasn't that transparent, whether it was in the House or whether it was in the Senate. And so if you found something out, then you need to just like kind of come out and say it. The letter is great, except is there going to be a deposition? Probably not. I mean, I don't know what's going to come from this, but so like, you're just, at this point, you're just kind of laying a stake out there and saying, this is my position. But if you found something out, then you need to just tell us.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what's going to come of it, if anything.
Nothing. I would presume not a single senator signs on to that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know a lot more about all this stuff than I do. Somehow the Ken Paxton impeachment trial just sort of went right past me. I know we got to go. Did you know that Ben Shapiro is in a new rap with Tom McDonald?
Oh God.
Did you not know this?
No.
What?
Probably better off that I didn't.
Ben Shapiro endorsed Trump.
They call me offensive, controversial. There's only two genders, boys and girls. They can't cancel my message because I'm the biggest independent rapper in the whole freaking world. Claim that I'm racist, yeah, alright. I'm not ashamed because I'm white. If every Caucasian's a bigot, I guess every Muslim's a terrorist. Every liberal is right. I don't want to talk to folks who don't get it. Go,
Where's Ben Shapiro?
Pathetic pro-choice, pronouns, pro-love, you're progressive. But you ain't pro-gun, no one to protect it. Where the American flags at? Remember when people would hang those? They've been taken down, they've all been replaced with BLM flags or a rainbow. This ain't rap, this ain't money, cars and clothes. We ain't selling drugs, we ain't gonna overdose.
Where's Ben Shapiro? It's gotta be here.
I don't care if I offend you.
Oh, God.
I was good.
That was not good. He's been doing some image work. He like goes to interviews now and he's got like a leather jacket on and he's got, like, now he's got a hoodie like with a hood on. Like, dude, be you. Button up, wear your blazer and your yarmulke and like stop trying to be cool, Ben Shapiro.
Why do conservatives do this with like music and TV and stuff? They always just like put out bad culture comment, like whether it's music, whether it's shows, movie, like it's just never good. It's just it's never good. Like as if there are no creatives on the conservative side who can actually create things that are good. I don't understand this. All the conservative rap and like songs and the MAGA choir or whatever those people, all that stuff they put out, all of it is crap. I don't understand. And then they're like, I wonder why it doesn't hit #1. And it's like,
it is crap. It all fucking sucks. I don't get it either.
I don't understand.
Except for Oliver Anthony. Well, but they didn't put that out. If you believe what Jordan Peterson says in terms of like the psychology of liberal people versus conservative people, is liberal some people are more artistic and creative and conservative people are not. So don't go try to be an artist.
Wow.
Brad.
I changed my background for every single show.
It's an
Did you
artistic
draw it?
flair.
Do I need to draw it to be creative?
Yes.
If what?
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah, we're wrapping up. Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We are you can follow us. There are our Twitter handles: CJ Blain 10, M Searle ATX, and Brad Swail. Don't follow him.
No.
And then, of course, go to YouTube, Spotify, Apple, listen to the podcast there, rate the show, subscribe to the channel.
Share it with your moms. For real, Miss Blain is our favorite fan for listening, and she's great. I've never met her, but she produced such a wonderful son. How could she be bad?
Oh wow! Look at you being nice this show.
What are you? I am always nice. 1, 2, but she can't be the only mom out there that's interested in this, right? So share it with your moms.
Yes. Mother's Day is coming up. It's the best gift.
It is what a wonderful gift.
Thanks for
crazy
tuning in,
uncle
everyone.
like it more, but
Yes, crazy uncles too.
moms too.
See you guys next week.